finally, all eyes were on Malmo, Sweden last night as Switzerland won this year's Eurovision Song Contest. And Israel, represented by 20-year-old Eden Golan, finished in 5th place with her song Hurricane in a competition that was engulfed by politics and controversies. And joining me here in studio is I-24 News correspondent Natasha Kirchuk. Natasha, I'm hearing from our producers that Eden has just landed back here in Israel. But briefly, before we get into last night's performance, let's give me a bit of an overview of what Eurovision is, especially for our American viewers.
So the Eurovision is an annual singing competition. It's been taking place since 1956 for over 65 years now, 67 years in total. So far, we've seen at least 52 different countries participate, mainly countries that are in Europe. But of course, there are countries from outside of Europe that also participate on an almost annual basis, and that's including Israel and Australia, for example. Now, Israel has been participating in the Eurovision since 1973. And it's won 4 times so far. The most recent win, which you probably remember, was a huge, exciting moment for the state of Israel, was in 2018 when Netta Barzilai won with that song Toy. And there was just massive celebrations across Israel following that win. We then saw the Eurovision actually take place here in Israel because every single time a country wins, that country is then automatically selected to host the next Eurovision contest. So this is a contest that is really just supposed to celebrate culture. This year we saw 37 different countries take part in the contest. The grand finale, which we saw last night, had 25 different contestants. That's why it was very long. I'm sure that you were probably watching last night. Watching the show takes hours and hours on end. And like I said, it's really beloved because you just, before every single country performs, we see a little video kind of showing their home country, the different cities and towns within their country. It's kind of a window into these different nations across Europe and the world. And it's just a really feel-good moment, you could say, for the world. So,
Natasha, tell us, what determines the winner in this competition, and why are so many people accusing this year's competition specifically of being political and not about the music, which is the whole goal of this competition?
Right. So, okay, first of all, like you said, Switzerland came in first in this competition, Croatia came in second, we saw Ukraine in third, France in fourth, and then finally Israel in fifth. How is this determined? So there are 2 votes. You have the jury vote, which is essentially each of the countries voting themselves. They are able to give up to, I believe, 12 points, and they can give those points to other countries, okay? So this is where politics can come in, because that is basically purely what those countries decide they want to vote for. It can be the song, but if there are issues that are taking place around the world, if there's an ongoing war, in this case, obviously there's been a lot of anger about Israel's participation, with some saying that Israel should be boycotted because of the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Those countries may shift their vote and not necessarily focus on the music, but the politics. Then the second vote that you see is the public vote, the public tally. So Israel basically received very little support from the jury votes, but it came in second place in the public televote. So what that means is that Israel got 323 points, just trailing only Croatia. So it came in second place with getting the most votes from the public. But when it came to getting those votes from the different countries participating in this event, it got a total of, well, it came place 12th in the jury vote, which is pretty low, let's put it that way. Some of the countries that did support, I just want to list them out for those of you who might be interested. France, Belgium, Germany, Australia, Switzerland, the UK, Italy, Luxembourg, and Portugal were the countries that did voice their support for Israel in this vote. But, basically when you kind of look at you compare those 2 votes and you see the fact that there is almost no support from the countries participating and then such a large support from the public, people say this isn't about music, it's about politics. And that's what a lot of we're hearing from critics here in Israel, who last night say, when they were sitting there watching those votes ticking in, they felt that they had been completely abandoned by the world.
And leading up to that finale, as you mentioned, the politics were very much rampant there. The Israeli contestant Eden Golan faced some major security concerns there.
Yeah, security, that's to put it nicely. I was trying to list out the different controversies that have played out since Eden Golan selection, an announcement that Israel would be participating once again in the 2024 Eurovision. I have to say the list is just so ridiculously long and absurd that I'm going to list it out for you. You guys have to hear this, okay? We saw massive anti-Israel protests, obviously, on the streets, in front of the Eurovision venue, also in front of Eden's hotel, making it basically impossible for her to leave the hotel the entirety of the time that she was was in Malmö, Sweden. During press conferences throughout this Eurovision competition, she was repeatedly snubbed by not only journalists, but also other contestants. The Greek representative pretended to fall asleep and yawn when she was answering questions by journalists at a press conference. A different journalist asked Eden if she feels responsible for making the song contest unsafe for all the other participants.
Essentially victim blaming her.
Right. We saw Eden consistently booed throughout the event. You even mentioned this in an earlier show that there was anti-boo technology. Who knew that that exists? But they had to utilize some type of technology to, I guess, drown out the boos while she was singing. And also the head of the European Broadcasting Union was also booed for his decision to allow Israel to take part in the contest. We saw multiple contestants who were wearing signs representing the Palestinian cause, including the Portuguese contestant who painted her nails with the keffiyeh. We saw the Swedish opening act. The singer there was wearing a keffiyeh around his wrist. And again, it's important to note that, you know, that's basically illegal in this contest. You're not supposed to be wearing any political I guess, signs, any signs that represent a country, especially that's not competing. Right. And I just have to mention, in addition to this, Eden itself was, she was basically told to change her song from the beginning, which was October Rain, to what is now Hurricane, because that was considered political. They believe that she was referencing the October 7th attacks. I haven't even, there's such a much longer list. I know we don't have enough time, but that's just a little taste of kind of what she was dealing with.
All right, Natasha Kirchak, thank you very much for your breakdown this morning.